1900, Vienna. Austrian symbolist painter Gustav Klimt is commissioned to produce a series of paintings for the University of Vienna. The university gave Klimt one request: the art must fit the proposal that was given to him. The proposal read, "The victory of light over darkness." But could Klimt, one of the most prominent leaders of the Vienna secession art movement, produce a work of art that meets the standards of some of the most powerful people in Vienna? Pre-war Austria was a world of ease and free of worries. Their neighbor to the north, Germany, looked disapprovingly at the ways in which Austrians enjoyed their slow pace of life, in contrast to Germans who sought with a greedy desire ways to get ahead at any cost. No matter the social class, no matter the race or background, Austrians seemed to coexist effortlessly. The destruction that would be brought by the soon-to-be Second World War would impact the nation greatly, and it all started with Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was born in Austria and raised in a town called Linz. He served in the German army during the First World War and became Führer of the Nazi Party in July 1921. In 1923, Hitler wrote his political manifesto, Mein Kampf, in which he describes his life, struggles, and anti-Semitism he developed as he grew to power. However, a part of Hitler that many people do not know of is his deep interest in the arts. An avid painter himself, it is estimated that Hitler completed nearly 2,000 paintings in his lifetime. He used art as a means to support himself financially whilst continuing his passion. As a teenager, he failed twice to gain entrance into the Academy of Fine Arts Vienna. The future dictator was devastated, and instead of turning his efforts to improving his talents, Hitler took quite a different path. Several years later, Adolf Hitler has power over Germany and dictates the nation through the Second World War. A side of World War II that sometimes gets overlooked was what stemmed from the passion that Hitler held for the arts. Never quite turning his back on this part of him, Hitler made plans to build a cultural complex in his birth city, Linz, Austria. He wished to construct a hub that outshined any other European city. Linz would far surpass the ancient touch of Rome and shine brighter than that of Paris. Within this city, an art museum with hand-selected German art would be constructed. This museum would feature art that was either bought, confiscated, or stolen by the Nazis. Organized looting by the Third Reich occurred across Europe, beginning in 1933, and did not cease until World War II ended in 1945. In addition to gold and silver, the Nazis took items of great cultural significance. Hitler's desire to fill his Führer Museum prompted the removal and at times destruction of inestimable amounts of paintings by artists all across Europe. The Nazis can be blamed for the thousands upon thousands of art pieces that were lost during this time and the many that remain missing to this day. Entire museums were emptied of their collections and transported to locations where they could be hidden from Nazi raids, most notably the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. Unfortunately, these actions could never combat the looting completely, and it is estimated that over 20% of the art in Europe was looted by the Nazis, and well over 100,000 items that have still not been returned to their rightful owners. Gustav Klimt was born near Vienna in Austria-Hungary in 1862. He and his 6 siblings came from parents who were each unrealized artists themselves, but luckily for them, their children showed signs of a promising future in artistic fields. Klimt lived in poverty for much of his early years and attended the school now called the University of Applied Arts, Vienna. He studied architectural painting and was steadfast in his artistic endeavors. Under strict classical conservative training, he produced art during his schooling that does not mirror his signature style that he would eventually develop as his talents matured. As Klimt matured as an artist, he was recognized by high-ranking individuals for his work in the arts. In 1888, Klimt received the Golden Order of Merit from Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austria for his contribution to murals painted in the Burg Theater in Vienna. However, tragedy struck in 1892 when Klimt lost both his brother and his father in the same year. These losses hit Klimt hard, and this change was demonstrated by a shift in his artistic style. He entered a period of time in which his art featured several nude individuals, which historians believe to be a symbol of defiance for the Habsburgs and Austrian society, and the ways in which they turned a blind eye towards political and social problems of the time. Klimt was an artist who pushed the boundaries of artistic fields, whether that be the inclusion of taboo subjects in his art or the creation of pieces that challenged what other artists of his time dared to attempt. His nerve and artistic talent led to Klimt becoming one of the founding members and presidents of the Vienna Secession art movements in 1897. He and other artists came together in their resignation from the Association of Austrian Artists, most being painters, sculptors, and architects. This movement was radical for German artists, as influential figures opened doors and offered support to up-and-coming artists who were willing to challenge social limitations. This helped pave a way for new art styles and further freedom of expression that had not been allowed under Vienna art institutions for many years previously. In the year 1900, Gustav Klimt was commissioned to paint a series of paintings for the University of Vienna's Great Hall. The university, knowing Klimt's reputation for challenging artistic norms, gave him a specific proposal for the murals that would be showcased in a central portion of the university. The proposal read, "The victory of light over darkness," and the university explained that a use of symbols and metaphors would add substance to the art. Klimt took this proposal with a grain of salt and created 3 paintings entitled Philosophy, Medicine, and Jurisprudence. These pieces featured figures and individuals that were typical of Klimt's artwork, but one thing stood out. Most of the figures were featured nude. Klimt came under attack by those who felt his artwork was pornographic material and contained perverted excess. 87 members of the university protested against them. None of the paintings would go on display in the university. This was the last time Klimt accepted commissions from the state, remarking, "I've had enough of censorship. I reject all state support." All 3 of the paintings were sold, Philosophy going to Klimt's friend Koloman Mosier, and Medicine and Jurisprudence into the possession of a Jewish family. But in 1943, the unthinkable occurred. After a final exhibition of all 3 paintings together for their last time, the paintings were seized by Germany and moved to Schloss Emmendorf, a castle in Lower Austria, for protection. The history of Klimt's philosophy, medicine, and jurisprudence then goes without clear history. Historians believe that following an occupation of the castle, careless retreating German soldiers burned Schloss Emmendorf down, and along with it, Klimt's paintings. All that remains of the works are preparatory sketches and photographs. Only one photograph remains of the complete painting of Medicine, taken just before it was destroyed. Too many similar stories exist surrounding the seizure and destruction of art during World War II, and with the works of the Monuments Men, a militia of soldiers tasked with recovering art that was lost during the war, and other organizations, the abundance of art that was lost is slowly being recovered and returned to their rightful owners. Art explains a unique side of history that cannot be told alone, and these events and outcomes should never be repeated.